an appointment via handshake. And we're doing Zoom and phone appointments. If your faculty or staff, just email me. I do want to let you know that I plan to record the session because we're hoping to post elements of this on our YouTube channel and message students out. There's some that were unable to attend today, and I hope that's okay with everyone. If not, just shout out or message me privately. I do want to give a little bit of a framework for this as well. And the reason why we kind of felt like this was a topic that was especially relevant in today's market is what a whirlwind. So we went from early February, where it was one of the best job markets in recent history, to a very high unemployment rate and a lot of economic uncertainty. And so with all of the physical distancing that's occurring in our day-to-day lives. And by the way, I'm using physical distancing because I'm trying to get folks to think more about how to socially connect. LinkedIn is one of those vehicles that you can use to connect no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. And I think the reality is a lot of people are looking for that connection in their professional lives now. So what a better time to discuss LinkedIn? A lot of students who are job seeking are also questioning, what can I do when I'm not on campus to make sure that I stay connected to my network, to brush up on my professional skills, and make sure that I'm on track to land a good job or internship in the future. And I've been driving a lot of folks to LinkedIn. So I'm gonna share my screen with y'all. I do wanna give a brief overview on what is LinkedIn. I know that I hear a lot of students and professionals refer to LinkedIn as the professional Facebook. And I like and I don't like that analogy. I think that the reason why I don't like it is because we must think about LinkedIn as a purely professional endeavor, where Facebook sometimes can be purely personal or blur the line between the two. Content on LinkedIn should be connected to your your past, present, or future aspirations. And it's a way to demonstrate your digital brand. So we're going to talk a lot about a professional brand today and your digital brand. It could be, and if you're questioning what is my digital brand, maybe you're a student and you're just coming into what your digital professional brand is, LinkedIn is a great way to start it. Okay, so it's really, from first year students or even high school seniors to seasoned professionals, it's a tool for everyone. So there's a couple things to think about when you're utilizing LinkedIn. So it operates similar to like any other social media site where you have your newsfeed, which you'll see right here on my page. And you also have a profile. So it's a way for you to demonstrate your professional skills, share your subject matter expertise, connect with others who may have similar subject matter expertise or maybe folks that you aspire to learn from. And it's also a way for you to share a day in the life of your either pursuits as a student or professional. And so I always say to students, 95% of employers are going to Google you when you're job searching. So why not give them something positive to see? And LinkedIn is that positive vehicle. So today we're gonna, like I said, discuss mainly points related to your digital and professional brand. We're gonna talk about how to use LinkedIn to conduct strategic research, both on people and companies and organizations. We'll spend some time discussing job and internship search. And then finally, we'll close with how you can be engaged on LinkedIn. So not just a passive user, but an active participant. But what we're not talking about today is your digital shadow. So I refer to your digital brand as something that you control. You have a say in what your digital brand is. You're putting the content together. Your digital shadow are things that others are saying about you online. And sometimes it is also content that we create in the past that tends to follow us like an unfriendly shadow to our professional futures. So think of this like your Facebooks, your Twitters, your Instagrams, and if those things are publicly searchable, then it's a really good time as well to think about how do you clean those up. And if not clean them up, make the privacy settings such that an employer can't find the unsavory photos of you. So diving into the profile creation, and this is where I'll kind of go fast and furious. So do raise a hand or shout out if you have a specific question. The first thing people typically notice about a LinkedIn profile is a profile picture. And you'll notice that mine, and I'm not showing it to you because I think it's great, It's just an example that I'm most familiar with. A LinkedIn photo is a professional headshot. So sometimes you'll see LinkedIn photos of students with a group of people. You might see students post photos with their pets. And I even saw an alum once post a screenshot of their passport photo. And again, you just want it to be a professional headshot, shoulders up, and at least business casual attire or business professional attire. For a lot of folks, if they don't have a really good photo to use, I recommend just actually having either a friend or someone you live with take a photo of you with, you know, a phone on a neutral background with nothing in the background, in a button down or something professional, and use that temporarily. Susquehanna does offer, when we're on campus, professional headshots for free for students and faculty and staff. And Susquehanna also has a cover photo option. So you can see here, and I've left the URL up and I can send this out to folks after the fact. If you're questioning what does a cover photo entail, you'll see that mine is Susquehanna because I'm an employee of Susquehanna. But if you're a student and you're thinking, I want something a little bit different, the main difference between a LinkedIn and a resume is that a LinkedIn is a way to capture some of your future aspirations. So I encourage students to think about how your cover photo can demonstrate your future aspirations. So is that an industry that you're interested in, or is it maybe a background of a city that you want to live in? So you'll see a couple of examples that I'll show you where students actually put an image of Susquehanna or maybe the skyline of New York, because that's where they want to be. So we really emphasize putting a photo in. It makes you appear more trustworthy, more people connect with you in that kind of way. There's also, and I just want to review this really quickly, if you can take a look at where my cursor is, this button here that says Edit Public Profile and URL. This is a way for you to control the privacy settings, and it's also a way for you to adjust your URL to something other than a random string of letters and numbers. So I have my first and last name on here. I would recommend trying that. And that way you can put a nice clean URL on the header of your resume, or simply email folks the URL for them to take a look at. And if it's taken, you might need to add a number or two, or initial. The next thing that I'll talk about is the header, or the headline, and I'm gonna highlight it right here. So mine is my title, but I'm gonna pull up a student who's given me permission to share her profile. Her name's Juliana, and she is one of our career ambassadors. And you'll see, you know, example of her headshot and ABOM in the background. And you'll see that her header is things that she's engaged with on campus right now that's communicating her current digital brand. And you can see that she does several different things, but I'm also learning about her as a student and as a future professional. Sometimes what I recommend students do in their headline is create something that's future focused. So something, instead of just student at Susquehanna University studying marketing, something like aspiring marketing professional, passionate about climate change, something like that. So maybe if I'm working in an organization that really values climate change, or it's doing work to advance that goal, I see that and I suddenly understand that your mission connects with mine, and I also see that you have some technical skill that goes along with that. So think of the headline as a way to share aspirations. It is a really brief 5-second elevator pitch. If I scroll down on Juliana's profile, you'll see the next thing that I see is an about section. And this is what I would consider a more lengthy elevator pitch, so more of the traditional 30 seconds. The big thing about LinkedIn is that it is keyword driven. So you have to think of your profile as searchable in a search engine. And if folks are familiar with the idea of a Boolean search, that's what recruiters are doing to look up profiles. So they might type in something like Susquehanna University and and Excel and CFA. And I'm gonna get everybody that has CFA, Excel, and Susquehanna University together in their profile. And so keywords are really important, both for what you're doing today and the skills that you've gained, but also your potential future industry. So your summary is a really great way to show what you've done and what you aspire to do. And you'll see that Juliana uses some really good words such as leadership, project management. And I can scroll down. We have business in here, entrepreneurial. And I want to show you another career ambassador's profile, and you'll see another example of how you can do this. So if you're like, how do I put some of the things that maybe I don't have experience yet, or maybe I just want to include a whole bunch of skills that I have, look at Liz's. Hers, I will say, she is one of a fantastic communicator, great about section. It's engaging, it hooks me in. And you'll see here that she just lists her capabilities as skills, and it's a laundry list of them. So think about doing that as well. The next thing that you'll see is kind of similar to a resume. You'll see an experience section with pre-populated fields like your employer, your job title, and bulleted statements. And the one thing that I would encourage you to think about is it can follow the traditional resume format of bullet statements. But if you're feeling like I might be scrolling and scrolling and scrolling to get through some of your experiences, then maybe reduce the number of bullet points, or just use one or two key phrases to explain the work that you did with a focus on accomplishments. So LinkedIn follows a little bit of a looser format. We don't use I statements on resumes. You can use an I statement on your LinkedIn profile, both in the summary section or the about section and your experience section. And then you'll see the next section is education, and this is really your time to shine as students. I recommend putting any institution that you received a degree from on your education section, and you'll see that you're listing the title of the degree. Liz is listing some activities and involvement that she's been a part of, and key classes that she's taken, similar to what you would elevate on a resume. High school information can or cannot go on your LinkedIn profile, similar to a resume. I see it more commonly on a LinkedIn profile, believe it or not, than I do on resumes. And then from here, there's a million ways to customize this. So you can include profile sections such as language. So if you speak more than one language, you can list the languages you speak in your proficiency level. You can list projects, you can list volunteer. You can also, so if you scroll, I'll just scroll quickly down through mine. Licenses and certifications, I think you saw in Liz's. And then skills and endorsements is another key profile area that I would recommend including. And these are things that you claim that you're skilled in, but you'll see here that it also includes endorsements. So 38 people said that I was skilled in the area of student affairs. So this is people saying, yes, I have worked with Allie in this capacity. I know that she's skilled. Yes, I will endorse her. And so for a lot of students' resumes, and maybe we'll go to Fernando, who's also given me permission to share if you're like, oh, Allie's looking at a lot of people's profiles. I've asked. And he has a really great about section as well. He's also a career ambassador. If you scroll down and look at Fernando's skills and endorsements, you'll see that it's a blend of soft skill and technical skill. So it's not just data analysis, data entry, Excel. It's also the soft or power skills, which some people refer to them as here. So public speaking, team leadership, communication, and that kind of thing. And I just got a notification that this meeting will end in 10 minutes. So I'm not quite sure what to do about that. Crap. Does anybody have any idea? I thought I had 40 minutes, but. So let me just zoom through the rest. Oh, somebody has an idea, chat. We all can rejoin. Do you need, oh, okay. So if we get out and use the same URL, that would be okay? Brenda? Okay, well, we'll figure it out. I wonder if I could download this list. I'm really sorry, this is my first time doing it. I thought I had much longer than this. So if y'all get kicked out, let's just try to rejoin via the URL that you joined originally. Okay, so that's the profile in a nutshell. If you have a resume, a lot of it is just plugging in that information. I would recommend having it reviewed at least once by somebody in the Career Development Center, and you can schedule an appointment to do that. The next thing that I want to show you is really how to do some strategic research on LinkedIn. And really how to gain connections. So the first thing that I'll focus on is how to look up alumni that have graduated from Susquehanna. And as many of you are already aware, our alumni do amazing things for us. They're really engaged and they want to give back to Susquehanna by providing meaningful advice to students. And so this is a really great way to connect with people who have had a similar experience to you, perhaps in a major or a club or organization. But it's also a way for you to do research on what folks in your major have done with their degree post-graduation. So you'll see that I went to the Susquehanna University school page, and then I clicked on the alumni tab right here. And up pops this nice little what I call sliders. I don't know the official name for it, but it's a way for you to narrow down a list and search for alumni based upon where they live, where they work, what they do, what they studied, and what they're skilled at. So let's say, for example, you're in New York right now, and you want just to look up who are the top employers hiring Susquehanna students or alums in New York City. You're going to get a big list of them. And you'll notice that SU actually pops up at the top because students who list their city and state as New York, they pop up as well, because maybe they work for the Office of Leadership and Engagement or something. But if you scroll past that, you'll see the top employers. But let's say you want to narrow it down even more. Let's say you want to look at employers in New York City, and you know that you want to work in media and communications when you graduate. So now I'm narrowing down that list even more, and it's only pulling up those 188 alumni. So really quickly, you can see the top employers by the area of focus, and then you can see down here the people. So I really recommend doing this part on a desktop rather than a phone, because if I click the connect button on a phone, sometimes it just sends them an automatic connection request. Every time you connect with someone, I would recommend adding a personal note. So you can see that all I did here was I clicked the connect button, and then I clicked add a note. And although it's optional, I recommend doing this every time you're reaching out to someone that you have no previous contact with. So you can write something like, hi Molly, my name is Allie Grill. I'm a student at Susquehanna University studying creative writing. I see that you're currently working at, oh man, I picked the wrong one, as a broadcasting professional with PBS. I would love to learn more about how you got to where you are and what recommendations you would have for me. And so that way, Molly knows really why exactly you're reaching out to her, and it's easier for her to accept that. She might accept the connection request but not reply to the message. So once she accepts, it's good practice to re-engage her and say, thank you so much for accepting my connection request. As I mentioned, I would love to speak with you about X, Y, and Z. So I really think that this is a very fun tool, although I will admit that I'm biased in the career development world. I'm a big nerd, but I could spend a lot of time on this looking at what people are doing. And usually when I'm with students doing this, I always learn something new about what our alumni are doing. And it's very inspirational because you begin to realize that career paths are not linear. And you might even use this as a way to look at what people in your intended industry are saying about themselves and then tailor your profile to match kind of what they're saying. So that was a really quick outline of the Find Alumni tool. Does anybody have any questions about connecting with alumni? Or the tool itself? Okay, the next thing that I want to show you is a company search. So normally if I was in a class setting, I would say, shout out a company that you find interesting. If you feel inclined to do so, please yell something out so I can make it relevant to you. A company or organization that you maybe are interested in doing an internship or job with. I see a chat bubble. Okay. Scholastic. So publishing, and can everybody see that chat? Okay. So Paige, I think this is what you're recommending. Sometimes I click on the wrong one. So here, good practice to follow any company or organization that you might want to apply to one day. Because as a connection, I can see the companies that Paige follows. So if I see a whole bunch of random companies that really don't make sense, then I might think, wow, how does that speak to Paige's brand? But if I see that you follow a ton of publishing houses and maybe it demonstrates a focal point of what you'd like to do in publishing, that's great. So again, what you follow also demonstrates a brand. So I would make sure that you follow them. And some companies use them as PR platforms. So they might say, look at the good work we're doing here. Look at what our employees are up to. So from a PR platform of like the good work we're doing to look what our employees are up to as a way to engage prospective employees, knowing that a lot of job seekers are on LinkedIn. It's also a way for you to look at recent posted jobs and internships. But what I love about this tool is the people function. So if you click on this blue hyperlink right here where it says view all employees on LinkedIn, here it's giving you a roster basically of everybody that works for Scholastic and how you're connected to them. So one thing that I like to do when I'm sitting with students and kind of going through this process is I like to, and if you see what I just did, I clicked on all filters. I like to scroll down and I like to go to the school field and type in Susquehanna, because it's going to tell us if any Susquehanna, oops, that's the wrong one. If any Susquehanna students currently work at Scholastic. And then if you apply the filter, no results. So that's a bummer, but it's not the end of the world. So if I go back, oh dear, to Scholastic, and then I go to the employee hyperlink again, you'll notice that if I'm scrolling, so what you can do, like say for example, you want to look at like an assistant publisher, publishing assistant or something like that. There's a specific job title you want to look at. You can do a search for that job title. If you know that maybe a family friend has recommended that you reached out to somebody and you only remember the last name or the first name, you can search for names. But you can also take a look and see how you're connected to these people. So you'll notice that this mutual connection right here is somebody that I myself went to college with. And so let's say I wanted to get into Scholastic. I might say, hey, Sarah Jane, can you introduce me to Erin Pascal? I'm thinking about branching into the editing and publishing field, and I would love to speak with her about her role as an editor at Scholastic. And so it's a way for you to kind of utilize your current network to reach your aspirant network, so to speak. There is nothing wrong with you reaching out directly to this Erin person by clicking the connect button and adding a note. But sometimes that personal endorsement from somebody in your existing network will be better and have a higher yield of response